Welcome to Lifestyle Alchemy. I'm Sydney, medical astrologer, energetic alchemist, and transformation expert. In this podcast, I share what I'm actually living and learning. Sometimes that's decoding my birth chart. Sometimes it's rewiring and regulating my nervous system. Sometimes it's just real talk about what's working and what's not. This show goes beyond astrology. You'll hear about health and wellness, mindset and energy work, manifestation, spirituality, and all the things that help us actually embody who we're meant to be. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to Lifestyle Alchemy. Look at us doing an episode in 2 weeks in a row. I'm not taking my little break like I initially planned on for the entire summer, and that is because I have some stuff to talk to you guys about. I have updates. Okay, so I promise you at some point the podcast is going to get back to kind of a little bit more teaching, talking about educational things, astrology, energy work, like more that kind of thing. But for right now, it's kind of just my personal diary. And I'm just sharing kind of the things that I'm going through because I know I am not the only one. And the whole reason of why I even have one of the updates that I have today is because I heard someone else talking about it and how their own experience with it in a podcast episode. And so I thought, hello, I better share it on my podcast too, in case someone needs to hear it and doesn't know what's going on with them and doctors aren't figuring it out. And so obviously I'm going to share because that's what I do. So, okay, let's just get right into it. Last week, I was talking to you about really just my grievances with with women's health and how it's just so goddamn hard to find providers that understand not just normal, but optimal, and that really look at the whole picture, the root cause, and aren't just quick to say, oh, it's normal, you're fine, or to just want to stick a medication on it or gaslight you or something like that. It's been my experience that it's been tough to find good providers that not only do you vibe with, they're not condescending, they don't make you feel stupid, they're just, you enjoy conversing with them, but also that they treat you and they actually know what to do so that you improve, not just the numbers on your labs. Of course, we want those to improve too, but at the end of the day, if your labs are perfect, but you feel like shit, that doesn't mean anything, and that's very possible. A lot of people have normal / optimal labs, but they feel like fucking shit. And so it's you need to find a provider that can look past just the data and look at the whole person, but you also need to find a provider that's not just going to look at the symptoms, but they're all because that's a whole other tangent, but my naturopath, I feel was so focused on symptoms that oftentimes she wanted me to do all these things that I was but that's not the cause of this. I know that that's not. So anyway, that's a whole other tangent, but, okay. So I was talking about all of that last week, as well as just kind of what my experience has been with the conception journey and the pregnancy journey, and just kind of my frustrations with what I'm seeing on specifically TikTok. I'm really not seeing it as much on Instagram. And I think the reason for that is more so just because at this point, you can't you can sponsor posts on TikTok or on Instagram. If you want to advertise a program or something that you have, you can obviously pay to do an ad and sponsor it and boost it, but you can't at this point post a video and like, at least as far as I know, link a product to where someone can like buy it right there and you get a commission from it the same way that you can on TikTok, like with the TikTok shop. And to be honest with you, I hope that Instagram doesn't ever do that, because as much as I like the TikTok shop, like I've bought some stuff on there that's like cool. As much as I like it, I really fucking don't like scrolling and every other video is somebody just trying to like do some performative video telling me about how this fucking product changed their life. And it's already annoying when it's just like makeup or a pair of pants or something, but it's even more like predatory, it feels like, whenever it's something, you know, they're promising like, take this supplement and you're going to get pregnant in a month or something like that. Just is so fucked. So anyway, okay, we're not going to get back into that because I already went on my rant last week. If you didn't listen and you want to, it's there for you. But also towards the end of the episode, I was sharing with you kind of some symptoms that I've been experiencing, and just kind of wasn't sure what was going on. Like anxiety was a huge symptom that I was experiencing, like really, really bad, to the point where I wouldn't call it a panic attack. I don't think I've ever had an actual panic attack, but I have had anxiety attacks where I have extreme heightened anxiety and like digestive things, and like feeling faint. My heart rate is super raised. It's not to the point where I'm like, oh my God, am I having a heart attack? And that's the reason why I'm saying I don't believe that it was a panic attack, because from what I understand, panic attacks very much feel like you're kind of having a heart attack. And so anyway, I don't believe that I've had one of those, thank God, but was just having like a lot of anxiety, a lot of like feelings of dread, which is very odd because there's really not a lot in my life that I am dreadful of. Like, I don't know another way to say that. Like, there's not a lot of things that that I'm obligated to do at this point that I really don't want to do. And like, obviously, yeah, there's the normal stuff like, oh, I don't really want to do the dishes, or I don't really want to fold my clothes out of the dryer, like stuff like that. But that's not something to truly feel dread about. That's like, at the end of the day, if you really want to be like, maybe you might call it like woo woo about it, is like, at the end of the day, you could just be like, it's a privilege that I get to fold this laundry, because it means that I have a way to wash my clothes at home, and it means that I have clothes and I have running water and I could afford laundry detergent. Like, you could really flip all of that and be like, oh my God, I'm so grateful I get to do these things. So like, what I'm really trying to get at is there's not much in my life at this point. There has been in the past, I promise you that, but at this point I have achieved and like designed the kind of life that there's really not much to truly feel dread about. And so it was completely improportionate to my actual life, like the amount of like panic and dread and anxiety that I was feeling just for normal everyday shit. Like, answering a phone call or whatever, like, was making me feel, or like the need to like make a phone call. Like, I needed to make a certain phone call and I just like really didn't want to do it. And it was like feeling a lot of dread, and it's like literally not a big fucking deal. Like, and I know that. But there's just like so much stuff. But like I said, the symptoms of the panic and anxiety were starting physically first, and then I would start like spiraling on top of that. And then that's when I would start feeling like the dread and the anxiety of like, well, what if these symptoms are going to cause me to not be able to show up in my life, or like, do this or do that, or fulfill the health blueprints that I need to fulfill for all the clients that have bought in the last several days, stuff like that. Um, and so I mentioned that I had a doctor's appointment just with my primary care physician, not with a specialist, because I wanted to get my thyroid labs run again, just to see, like, what are we looking at? Are we going hyperthyroid? Like, is that where kind of all of this is coming from? The flushing and the racing heart, the air hunger, the, just, everything that I was experiencing. And so I had that done. I think I had that like last Tuesday. So, and I ended up getting the results back like 2 days later. It was crazy. So, luckily the place that I go, they just like immediately send you the results. Like they don't have to go through the doctor first. So I saw the results like literally before the doctor even saw them herself. Because obviously as soon as I get the email that they're like, you have new labs to review, I'm like, open that shit. So I open it, I'm looking at it. I know there's a bunch of stuff on there that I don't know about, or that I like wouldn't look at it and just automatically know, okay, yes, that's good, or that's bad, or that's high, or that's low. Like she did a lot of labs. It was like a CBC with the differential. There was a whole metabolic panel. There was like a lot of stuff that I didn't know what it was, but a lot of stuff that I did know what it was, and I already knew what optimal was. So I already knew as I'm scanning through them, I'm like, all right, T3, T4, TSH, TPO antibodies, TG antibodies, vitamin D, ferritin. Like I'm going through these things and I already know what the fuck I'm looking for. So I open them, and first thing I see is that my TSH had risen a little bit. It's not bad. It is a little bit higher than what I would like it to optimally be for someone who is actively trying to conceive. So what I would prefer that it be, and this is based on functional medicine, not traditional what's normal, what's not normal. Okay. This is based on just completely optimal goals. So ideally it would be TSH would be between 1 and 2, could even be below 1, but I'm comfortable with between 1 and 2. And that is what I have been at this whole time. I've been like at a 1.8, except for the period of time when I was on medication and I had gone into hyper. My TSH went down to like 0.33 or something crazy like that. And that was not good. So it's been at 1.8. This time it was at 2.23. So just a hair above where I would want it to be. So that already I was like, I wonder what is going on, or like, I wonder what the other numbers are going to say. My T4 was, I believe it was 1.3, which is good. It's optimal. No problem there. And then my T3, actually, my free T3, which is the active version of thyroid hormone. So you have T4, and then that gets converted into T3, and that's what your body actually like uses for energy. So T3 really, really matters. Free T3 really matters. That basically is a measurement of like how much active thyroid hormone do you have available to you, and how, like, if that's really low, you're going to have a lot of fatigue. Like that's just point blank period. You're going to have a lot of fatigue. And it could be an issue of like, you're producing the T4, but you're not converting it. And most of the conversion happens in the liver. So it could be, okay, I'm getting like so into the weeds of this that you may not even like really be interested. But, okay, so my T3 had gone up slightly to, which is great. It went up to 3.2. Last time it was 2.9, which was borderline low. And now it's at 3.2, which is much closer to optimal. And some even would say that it is optimal. So that was great. The TSH, I'm like, like, I wonder what that's about. Like if my other numbers are are good. I wonder like what's going on with the TSH, but like it also could have just been like, there's a lot of reasons why that could happen, you know, stress, like there's just a lot of things. So I'm curious to see like what that looks like next time, but also more good news, my antibodies, both of them, TPO and TG, went down. Excuse me, like keep burping. They both went down, which is wonderful. So I think it was the TG, I think is the TG. They dropped 10 points since last time, and now they're only 17.5. That is so low. Like they may as well not even exist at this point. And then my TPO dropped, they were at 111 and now they're at about like 100, I think, or maybe like, no, maybe like 105, or like they dropped a few points. They didn't drop quite as much as the others, but still, I mean, a win is a win. Am I right? So, so that was all good. Like there is no reason, like those numbers didn't give any explanation or insight as to why I was experiencing the symptoms I was experiencing. So I was like, okay, this is all valuable. I'm glad to know it, but it's actually not really helping me understand like what's going on. And all of my like blood and like metabolic, everything like that was all normal. And however, I shouldn't say all of the blood, because the ferritin, the ferritin is so low, you guys. It is not good. So ferritin is something that I've had very low ferritin in the past. I had my first time that I ever had labs done with the naturopath that I used to see early last year. My ferritin came back at 33, and that is incredibly low. It's still considered normal, which is a fucking crime. But I think it's like anything 12 or over is considered normal, which is like you're basically dead. I mean, not really, but like it's really, really, really bad if your ferritin is that low. Okay. And clinically speaking, even traditional doctors at this point, for the most part, are now recognizing that you need to have at least 50. Your ferritin needs to be at least 50. And functional medicine is more so now recognizing that anything really under 70 to 80 is not good. And you really want to aim for like a minimum of 70, especially if you're a woman who is menstruating regularly, and especially if you're trying to get pregnant or if you are pregnant. So mine, get ready, mine was fucking 29, even worse than it was before, like before all of this. And so the last time I had it done, which was in May, it was 59. And so I'm just like, what the fuck happened? And I will say the last time that I had it drawn, I was pregnant. It was the labs that I had done while I was pregnant. And so it was 59. Then I had the miscarriage. Obviously you lose a decent amount of blood in that process. And then I've had multiple periods since then too. And I noticed on this most recent period that I had, I just felt so incredibly wiped out and depleted. It was a different kind of tired. It wasn't like, oh, I just need to go take a nap. It was like my body has nothing to give. Like there is nothing in the tank. And that is literally like what it is. Ferritin is your body's iron storage. So it's not just like the amount of iron, like it's the storage, how much you have in the reserves, how much iron you have in the reserves. And so you might have like your hemoglobin levels might be normal, which mine are. And you might not be anemic, which I'm not. But that doesn't mean that you're not still going to have a lot of the symptoms as if you were anemic, which that's actually been a theme my whole life. I've been tested for anemia multiple times throughout my life, like starting at teenage years. And it's always come back like, nope, you're fine. But now that I know what I know about ferritin, I'm like, well, goddamn, I probably just had low ferritin my whole life, but it hasn't like, they haven't flagged it because they were just looking at hemoglobin and like, God knows what else, but not ferritin. And so that seems to be kind of the point of contention for me. And so now that I have that information, I got a supplement for it. I'm taking heme iron specifically because it is the most bioavailable, and iron is really temperamental. Like it can really fuck your stomach up if you take the wrong kind, and it can cause constipation. And also it is very like, it can cancel out the absorption of other supplements, and vice versa. They can cancel it out. So like, for instance, if you're taking iron bisglycinate, which is probably the most popular form and the gentlest on your stomach, you can't take it like at the same time as your thyroid medication. If you're taking thyroid medication, which I'm not right now, but or like you don't want to take it with calcium or like anything that has dairy in it. So like you don't want to take it in the morning when you're drinking your coffee if you have dairy, if you add dairy to your coffee, or if you eat yogurt for breakfast, or, you know, like all these different things. And so it's tough to take an iron supplement that has all of those like stipulations around it, because if it needs to be separated from food by like 2 hours on either side of it, like that's tough. Like that's a 4-hour period of your day that you like need to not really eat or drink anything like tea, because there's caffeine and like all kinds of things that can interact with the absorption of the iron. And so that's specifically why I wanted to get the heme iron, not just because of the bioavailability, but also because it is less temperamental on what you can take with it or around it. Like it's not super important that you have an empty stomach when you take the heme iron. And heme iron just means that it's from like actual blood. So it sounds gross, but it's like from bovine organs, I guess. Like blood or organ. I'm not really sure exactly what, but it's from pigs, I guess. And obviously, if you're like a vegan or something, like a vegetarian, you probably wouldn't do that, but I'm not. And I think that, I mean, it's the exact same form. You're like, whenever you eat a steak, you're getting heme iron. Like that is what it is. And it is, like I said, the best form that you can get. Ideally, we could get it all from food, but most of us aren't eating, you know, red meat and dark poultry and like all these iron containing foods, like at the volume that we would need to in order to have high enough, you know, ferritin and iron levels. So the low ferritin is a good explanation for some of what I was experiencing. Not all, though. Not all. So it was like a good explanation for the extreme fatigue, and like some of maybe the lightheadedness, some of the skin things I was experiencing. And I still am kind of experiencing a flare up of the perioral dermatitis, which is really fucking annoying. But, okay, so that happens. I get the results back and I'm like, okay, I'll get the iron, but like, what else? Like, what is the explanation for the other stuff? Like the really, really bad headaches I was having, the eye pain, the blurry, like feeling like I can't see very well, like especially when I look at like my computer screen or something. Just like so many things I was experiencing that I was like, this doesn't explain that. And I don't accept that it's just like a one-off thing or like it was just a weird coincidence. Like I don't accept that. I don't believe in that. And so I was driving one day last week. Actually, it was like this weekend. No, it was like last Friday. Okay, last Friday, I had a haircut appointment and I was driving home from the haircut appointment and I just was like in the mood to listen to a podcast instead of music. And so I'm like on my podcast, like I only listen to Apple. I don't like Spotify. So I'm on like the home screen where it shows me like all of the shows that I follow, like their most recent episodes. And I had recently started following this podcast. I don't even know, like I still don't really know like anything about the person whose podcast it is. Like I literally don't know anything about her or like who she is or what's her background. I don't know any of that, but it popped up as like a suggested show based on something else, like based on the Almost 30 or like one of the other podcasts that I listened to. And so I guess I thought it sounded interesting and I like followed it, but I hadn't listened to any of the episodes yet. And I'm not someone who like listens to every episode of shows that I follow. Like I follow Almost 30 and there are some really good episodes, but I skip probably at least 50% of them. Like if the topic or like the title of it doesn't sound interesting, I'm not listening like just because I like the podcast as a whole. Like I'm very selective. Like I'll skip. And so I saw this most recent episode from this show pop up and it was like it was something about like Botox, fillers, skincare, anti-aging. Like it was something like about that. And that is not normally something I would be inclined to listen to. Not because I think that any of that is bad. Like I'm very into skincare. I'm into like beauty stuff. I love all of that. Like I'm super girly, but that's just not something that I like. That sounds super interesting for me to like just listen to people talk about. Like I know what I like. I know what I want to do. I don't know that I need to hear people talking about Botox or whatever for an hour. But oddly enough, I felt a very intuitive like pull of like, listen to this episode. Like there's something in here you need to hear. And so I just like didn't think twice. I clicked play and I like started listening to it. And it was so interesting. So the girl who was the guest on the show, and I think her name was Jamie Ann. And she has an Instagram, like if you want to follow her, Jamie Ann. I don't know exactly, like she's an esthetician. I don't know exactly what her handle is, but I'll share it like in the show notes. Hopefully I'll remember. She used to work at like a med spa and like do all the things, do Botox multiple times a year, lots and lots of fillers in her face, like the whole nine. And now she is completely focused on completely non-toxic skincare and she does not get Botox. She's never going to get Botox again, and I'll tell you why. And she hasn't had filler in like 6 years, and filler never really dissolves, so like she technically still does have filler, but she's not continuing to get it injected. And so okay, the reason why she is never going to get Botox again is because she had botulism. And that, if you don't know, I didn't know what that was, is basically Botox poisoning. Whenever you get an injection of some kind of botulinum toxin, could be literally the brand name Botox, could be Xeomin, could be Daxxify, could be Dysport, doesn't really matter. Some kind of botulinum toxin, and it makes you sick because it actually is an incredibly toxic and deadly substance, like that we are, a lot of us are having injected into our face and other areas too. Like some people get it in their neck or their armpits or like their hands. People can get it all kinds of places for different reasons. But sometimes, And as far as I have learned, they don't really know why this happens, but it can just make you sick sometimes. And it can happen at any time. Like you could have gotten 20 different injections over the course of a few years or a handful of years, and you could be completely fine, no reaction at all. And then all of a sudden you get an injection and you're like sick. You have Botox poisoning, you have botulism. Okay, so that's what happened to Jamie, this girl that I'm talking about. And it was really, really bad. And it is incredibly hard to like have diagnosed or have confirmed, because like so many fucking things, it's not really well recognized by most doctors, like by the medical community, because they have done a lot of research on Botox and it is deemed to be very safe. And I think, for probably the majority of people it is. But whenever people do have these reactions and they get sick after an injection, oftentimes either people aren't correlating that, oh, like this is caused by the injection that I just got recently, or it doesn't really matter, because like whether or not they correlate it, the outcome is the same. Like if you go to, even if I got injected tomorrow, got sick the next day and went to the ER and said, this is what I think is happening, like they can't do anything about it. They literally, there's nothing they can do. It's not like filler where they have something that they can inject that will dissolve the filler. There's nothing. Like literally you just have to like wait it out, and like depending on what symptom you're experiencing, maybe they would give you some other medication to like try to counteract the symptom that you're experiencing. Like if you have extreme headache, they might give you a painkiller for the headache, you know what I mean? But like that's not going to fix what's causing the extreme headache, which is the botulism. And so oftentimes if a woman, or anybody, it could be any gender, but if someone does suspect that they're experiencing Botox poisoning, basically what most people are doing, from what I'm hearing based on a lot of different personal accounts that I've now heard, is that they're just like not going to the doctor necessarily. They're just like waiting it out at home, as long as obviously it's not like a situation where you like literally can't breathe or something like that that's like life threatening. Obviously in that case, yes, you would go to the doctor. And even there was another podcast episode, a different show that I was listening to, where she had the exact same thing happen to her, and it was all very similar symptoms to Jamie's. And she was like, I actually did go to a bunch of different doctors over the course of 6 months. And she was like, she went to like infectious disease, like immunologists. She went to so many, like dermatologists, so many different kinds of doctors. And she was like, do you think it could be botulism? And every single one of them was like, no, it can't be that. No. And it wasn't until about 6 months later that she was consulting with a plastic surgeon because she was going to get an explant, like to remove her breast implants. That he was like, oh, that's classic botulism, like 100%. That's what was going on. So basically, let me just tell you the symptoms of botulism. And it's not limited to these, but these are the most common. Double or blurred vision, drooping eyelids, slurred speech, difficulty swallowing, dry mouth, descending muscle weakness or paralysis that often starts in the face and moves down the body. Okay, so I did not, thank God, I did not have the like severe muscle weakness or paralysis, and I don't feel like I had the slurred speech. I definitely had the blurred, like, yeah, blurry. I didn't have double vision, but I definitely had blurry vision. And I had extreme headache is another one of the symptoms. And I mean, like I told you guys, like weeks and weeks ago, or I don't even know if it's weeks and weeks, but I think it was in the episode where I was saying I need to go down to 2 times a month because I'm having these terrible headaches and like all of this other stuff. And I was like, I think it might even be a migraine. Like, I don't know. I've never had a migraine, but it's really bad. It could be that. Okay. So now looking back, it all makes so much sense. I had just had a Botox injection like very soon before that. And so when I look back, everything lines up with that timeline. So okay, hold on, back up. I have had Botox before several times, actual name brand Botox, had no issues. Like back when I lived in Oklahoma, I had an injector. I got Botox like every 3 or 4 months for, I don't know, a year or 2, and in my forehead and crow's feet area. And, I mean, I had great results. She did a great job and everything always looked very natural. And I really, really liked it and never had an issue with it. Okay. So then I moved to Arizona, and whenever we first moved here, I did have 1 injection of, Xeomin, and I just like really didn't like it. I didn't have a negative response or anything like that, but I felt like it didn't ever really like fully kick in, and it didn't last long at all. Like, I guess my body just metabolized it really fast or something. I don't really know, but I was like, this just to me is not worth the money. Like, it's just as expensive and it doesn't work as well or last as long. So like, whatever. And then at that point, I was going on like my healing journey with Hashimoto's and everything. And so I was like, do I really want to be injecting fucking neurotoxins into my body right now when my immune system is already compromised? Like, no, I don't think so. So then I took like a couple years off and had nothing. And so since I had been doing a lot better and I knew I wasn't pregnant, at the time of our engagement photo shoot, I was like, oh, well, you know what would be nice is if I had a super like glass skin forehead for our engagement shoot. And so I booked a Botox injection at this med spa here in Scottsdale, and I got injected like 2 weeks before our beginning of July. So it was 2 weeks before our photo shoot. So it was enough time for it to like mostly kick in. And they actually didn't do Botox itself. They offered Xeomin and Daxxify, which I had never heard of Daxxify. It's actually a newer compound, I guess. It's a newer version, and it's supposed to be like Xeomin. It's supposed to be cleaner than actual Botox. And so since I obviously had Xeomin and did not love it, did not have a good experience with it, I was like, all right, let's go with Daxxify. And also another one of the, you could say benefits, or you could say downsides, depending on your reaction to it, is that Daxxify lasts a lot longer. It lasts 6 to 9 months versus 3 to 4 months. So I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. So I get the injection, and again, it's just in my forehead and crow's feet area. And I immediately, like that same day, had a headache. But then I looked it up and it was like, no, that's normal. But then for probably a solid week after that, I had the worst headache and eye ache and just like terrible experience. And I was like, is this because of like stuff that's going on in Aries, because of like Aries ruling the head, or is this because of the injection? But then it went away and I was like, okay, well, whatever it was, it's gone now. But then I went back for my follow-up appointment because they have you come back like 3 to 4 weeks later to just kind of see how everything settled, to see if you need any more. And like that was all included in the cost that I already had paid. So I went back, and there was, in fact, like a couple spots that were kind of missed. And so I did want to get what I paid for. And I did want to get those spots filled, or not filled, but like, smoothed. And so I go back and she injects more. And it was after that point that I started having a lot of these other symptoms, like with the anxiety and with just a bunch of the things that I've named. And I also did start having some headaches again. It wasn't quite as bad as it was the first time, but I did start having some eye things, some headaches, just kind of some weird stuff, and just like generally feeling unwell, just feeling like I can't do things. Like I literally just cannot do things that I need to do. And all I can do is just like lay down and be super miserable. And so basically this is unconfirmed because, like I said, I'm not going to go spend the money and go to a bunch of different doctors just for them to be like, I don't think it's botulism. I can, now that I have heard these other people's personal accounts and I look back at the timeline of my own experience and injections, I can confidently say that I truly believe that I had a very negative reaction to the neurotoxin. And whether that was truly botulism or whether it was my my immune system flagging it as the toxin that it is, and maybe having a mast cell reaction, or just an excess of histamine, something like whatever it is, whatever it happened, something happened. And I definitely have experienced the symptoms. And so as time has passed, basically what happens is you just have to wait it out, and you have to wait for your nerve endings to like regenerate and repair themselves. And that can happen, like that just kind of depends like on, for one, how like the length of the efficacy, I guess, of the whatever you had injected. So like if it's Botox, that would be like probably 3 to 4 months, maybe longer. And for the Daxify, obviously, like I said, it's a lot longer. And but also it depends on your metabolism. It depends on like how your body processes it, how quickly your nerve endings can repair themselves, all of that. And it seems like, and thank God, I do know this about my body. My body is very sensitive, but it's also very quick to repair and to respond to healing treatments or just healing in general. Like my body is kind of a hyper healer. Like I actually had a doctor tell me that like my body was a hyper healer. It was like, he was like, you respond so well to these treatments. And I was like, yeah. So I have been feeling a lot better. It's not like 100% yet, but it is a lot better. Oh, sorry. I forgot to mention one of the other like crazy things that I was experiencing was exercise intolerance. I don't remember if I mentioned this last week or not, but yeah, I think I did actually, because I was talking about the like Pilates strength challenge that I was trying to do, the Pilates by Izzy. So yeah, it took me like days to recover just from that one workout that I did. And, so I am feeling a lot better, but it's not been great. So at this point, I'm kind of just like, well, fuck. Add this to the list of things that I can't do anymore, I guess, like getting neurotoxins injected. Like, damn, trying to have a smooth forehead over here. So yeah, I think that is what has happened. Like that mixed with the really low ferritin, like that really does explain all of the symptoms that I was having. And On another note, while we're just giving all these updates, I'll go ahead and update you on, so I'm in my luteal phase at this point. Today, I am 6 days past ovulation, and I have been using, I think I mentioned last week that I had an over-the-counter progesterone cream that I just had never used, because when I bought it, I bought it not knowing that I was pregnant, and then found out I was pregnant, and I just never ended up using it. However, I was like, let me just do a little experiment and see. Like, I know that over-the-counter progesterone cream certainly does not impact like blood serum progesterone levels nearly as meaningfully as like a prescription strength suppository or even cream or pill or, you know, whatever. But I was like, you know what? This is what I have access to right now. I'm getting my hormones tested literally tomorrow at 7 days past ovulation, because that is when your hormones are supposed to be at their peak. And so it's a really good picture of, do you have enough progesterone? Is it balanced well by the estrogen? You know, all of that. So I don't have those results back yet, obviously. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to do a little experiment. I'm going to start using the over-the-counter progesterone cream twice a day, morning and night, after my ovulation has been confirmed, which it was confirmed. And I will say, so far, my luteal phase has been very smooth. I've been very, very, very calm, and I mean, still pretty tired, but like progesterone does have a very sedative effect. And I have not been having mood swings. I have not been having like extreme irritability like I was having. And I'm just like kind of chilling. Like, I'm just letting things be and not reading into like every symptom or everything that's going on like I kind of was before. And my basal body temperature is also staying very steadily elevated, whereas typically it would be kind of up and down. Like it would always be above baseline, but it would just be kind of like zigzag. But it has actually been very steadily holding at about the same temperature for the last 3 or 4 days. So I find that interesting. That's time will tell basically, but I do find that to be very interesting. And so if that is something that you feel intuitively that you might need to try, even if you're not trying to get pregnant, but if you just have really, really tough luteal phases, it can't, if you do it right and if you take it right, it can't hurt. Now, it can hurt if you, like I said, start using it before you ovulate. It will cause you not to ovulate, okay? So if you're going to do this, you really need to look up how to do it and make sure that you're confirming that you already ovulated before you start putting it on your skin. So again, look it up, do your research, learn how to use it. Don't just like listen to the shit that you see on TikTok, because half the people on there do not know what they're talking about. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I've got for you today. That's just a bunch of updates, but I really wanted to share about the Botox thing because I know it's something that so many of us do, even us like health and wellness girlies. We still like to have our glass skin. We still like to dabble once in a while in these things. And sometimes it can go awry, unfortunately. So if you're someone who has experienced something similar, one thing I didn't mention is that sometimes another reason of why it can be tough to correlate your symptoms like with maybe having a Botox injection is because it does not always happen like that day or the next day. It can literally sometimes not happen until 2 or 3 weeks later. So just because you don't have symptoms literally within 24 to 48 hours does not mean that it's not still like because of the injection. So the first time, like I mentioned, I did have pretty immediate symptoms, but then the second time it really didn't hit for probably probably at least a week after, when I look back. So that's another kind of barrier to really being able to pinpoint what it is because people oftentimes like forget, like you forget that you even had it done. Like 3 weeks later, are you kidding me? I'm not still thinking about that. So, yeah, I just really wanted to mention that in case you have had the same experience, because actually a lot more people have had that experience than what you would think for the reasons I already discussed. So, okay, well, that is the update, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week. I will talk to you soon.